Slam. Support local artists and musicians.
Hey guys, this is Bryant with Slam, and we are behind the scenes at Bridger Brewing with Max and with Griff. And today we're going to talk art, and we're going to talk about supporting the community. So first, Max, I want to start with you. What does it mean to be able to support the arts and help display an artist like Griff?
I think the arts are so important, especially to a brewery that's such a community-driven, creative business and model. Beer is kind of the catalyst for so many of these conversations about the creative process. Sitting down to a meal with someone who's different than you and getting their perspective on that is so important in the creative process and figuring out what art means to you. So being able to display a great local artist such as Griff at Bridger Brewing is awesome, because those conversations above tables will start really great conversations. They'll start great conversations about the community. They'll start great conversations about pretty much everything. And so being able to support and help out the creative process for people, for local artists like Griff, is really awesome for a brewery to do.
And Griff, how does it feel to be picked at a place like this?
You know, I feel like our qualities and characteristics kind of just aligned, knowing some of the people that worked here and a lot of the people's appreciation for being outside and out in the backcountry. This series of paintings I've done is based around backcountry landscapes. They've been hiked in and out of those settings, and it's just a cool way to sort of showcase some of the beauty that surrounds us.
So what inspired this particular? You just wanted to be outside, and one day you're hiking and you thought this would be a great series, and you started with one that led to more? Or can you talk a little bit about your process?
Yeah, for sure. I started off with my sketchbook years ago in rejection for typical photography. I just noticed that when I draw scenes, it helps me remember them more. So I kind of got into that. And then I realized oil painting is kind of the master media for capturing the world, really, in my opinion. So I transferred from drawing to painting and got a field kit set up so I can paint anywhere I hike now. And that's how I got into it.
That's awesome. And Max, you said you had these up here to help stimulate and spark conversation. And I think the outdoors is a wonderful catalyst to really help spark that creativity. So what's one of the most interesting conversations you've heard over some of the art you've had here in the brewery?
That's a tough question. I don't hear these conversations specifically, because most of the time it's intimate conversations between who's at these tables. But I think some of the most interesting conversations have been about outdoor pieces like Griff's, because Bridger Brewing is so connected to the outdoors and to our open lands and our rivers and just this clean outdoors that's devoid of any aspect of humanity or anything like that, where we all can be our true natural self. So talking about the process in which that artwork might have come forth from, or talking about anything like that, is really interesting to see all these people's opinions about this artwork and the nature and why we feel like this is such an essential aspect of humanity, because the outdoors is. It's such an essential aspect of who we are. We need this time, we need this space, we need to just be outside and feel natural.
Yeah, the outdoors really does help spark creativity. So Griff, how do you feel that living in Montana has an influence or influences your art?
Well, like you mentioned, I think it's just about being in virgin landscapes, especially now more than ever with a lot of technology seeming to come into every aspect of our lives. It's nice to literally unplug and just be out there, hear the birds, smell the flowers, the classic sayings. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there a reason you picked Griff this time for this time of year? Or can you talk a little bit about how you select your artists and how future artists might get a hold of you to be able to display art at your brewery?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I'll say future artists, we always love hearing from you. We want to know what you're doing, how you're making it, everything like that. So always reach out to someone at Bridger Brewing. The reason that we selected Griff is, first off, he's a huge fixture in this community. Griff is awesome. He does so many different kinds of artwork. Everything about his artwork is so outdoors based. It's so ingrained in this community. And he himself as an artist is also ingrained in this community. So that's part of the reason why we chose it. And also just the process that he does his artwork, hiking up to a mountain with this smaller canvas and really capturing what that scene is just amazing. Like this season, we really had a smoky season, and you can tell that in his artwork. That just goes to show how amazing he is and how accurately he can capture the Montana outdoors.
And how the outdoors could change and inspire new things.
A lot to learn still, a lot to learn. Dude, I'm so far from where I want to be. There's a lot of old masters around here outside of Bozeman. A lot of them are in Livingston. Livingston's known for producing amazing landscape painters. Where do I start naming them? But wow. Yes, I don't know. There's a lot. I have a long ways to go.
So you've been here a while and you've been hiking. Do you know the places you want to paint, or do you start hiking someplace and you hit inspiration so you then come back to it, or do you just always have your gear with you?
A little bit of both. A lot of the times when I'm out, I always take notes. I'm like, oh, that was dramatic lighting in the morning here. Sometimes in the midday, it's not so much, just the way the mountains are situated with the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. And just thinking about all that, I take notes, and I always have at least my sketchbook. If I'm specifically going to paint, I'll bring the heavier setup with the oil paints and stuff. But even if I'm just going on a hike with my dog, I bring my smallest sketchbook.
Are you limited on how far you could hike with paints, or have you gotten pretty proficient with being able to carry all that out there?
There's people that are going way further than I am. I got a buddy down in Salida, Colorado, he hikes out 30 to 40 panels in one backpacking trip. The most I've hiked out in one trip is 5.
You have a long way to go.
Yes.
Just kidding. Do you have a piece of advice that you could give to a young artist who's looking to get into landscaping or to paint?
Obviously, a lot of people think like starting from a photograph is really important with painting, especially landscapes, but I would recommend painting in the field because the light is changing so fast that it forces you to make moves and move on. You're not sitting there worried about what color that is exactly and which brush stroke needs to go where. You're saying, nope, like that. You're blocking it in quick because you know in 10, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, that scene's going to be completely different because the light is shifting, right, throughout the day. So it forces you to work really, really quickly.
So it helps you get out of your own head.
Yes.
And do you have anything that you want to plug, any works around town that you want to talk about? One piece that I really love is on the side of my building at Starlight. Griff has a big graffiti piece, but do you have anything else that you want to shout out?
My favorite mural I've painted in town is probably the Hawilia house on Babcock and Bozeman on the side of that old 1880s house. It's just an advocacy piece talking about the endangered water Hawilia and how the habitat is sort of being slowly eroded and that flower could be completely gone soon. It's only found in the Swan Valley of Montana. Shout out to the Craighead Institute for putting me on that wall and setting up that awesome organization to get murals out, highlighting the different species that are endangered in our state. That's my favorite wall.
Awesome, and Bozeman is that much richer for it. Max, how would you equate the creative process to the brew process? Because you're still making art just in a different form.
Yeah, everything, so many things are art, especially beer and food. I mean, if it's really good, it might not last as long as something like Griff's piece, because a good beer and a good pizza is going to want to be eaten pretty quickly. But yeah, that's all artwork. Getting the right malt, getting the right hops, getting the right ingredients, and really perfecting that and making it look good is so important, and we all love to do it. The reason why Bridger Brewing's pizza and beer is so good is because we have so many passionate people, so many artists behind it, really like putting their all into this work and making sure that this tastes great, looks great, smells great, everything that makes a piece of art or anything creative just really amazing.
Awesome, thank you. And any last thing that you want to plug, any community events, anything coming up that you want to mention?
Yeah, I just want to plug our amazing artists that work at Bridger Brewing, that come to Bridger Brewing, everything like that. We've done employee art shows that have been really successful, and it just blew me away how much talent is here working at Bridger Brewing, how much talent comes into Bridger Brewing. The employee art show was just spectacular. I didn't know that my coworkers were so good at all of that. And there was jewelers, there was carvings on wood, there was paintings, all of that. But just recently I ran into a customer who was a really great poet, and he recited some poems for me. And that was just a phenomenal piece of artwork that I loved. So I just want to shout out all of our community members, all of our employees, all of our customers who really give this creative process their all and their passion and everything like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Griff. And thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for supporting awesome places like Bridger Brewing and great artists like Griff. Take care, guys.
Slam. Support local artists and musicians.